We all know that these riots across the country are being funded by somebody, but by who? The first thing that most would say is the Democrats, and they'd be both right and wrong. We're going to try something a little bit different for those that want to follow along as we follow the buck. You are going to see in real time how your favorite charity could have paid for the organizations openly supporting these protests across the country, and as a bonus, you will see how your tax dollars also paid for it. I'm going to walk you through a government accounting website where you can search for government grants. There is a list of nonprofit organizations such as the ACLU and the American Civil Liberties Union, and we will go to that page. I'll show you where to click, and we will follow the buck to see where they got the funding. So if you want to open up another browser on your device or another device and go to the website datarepublican.com, open that up. We'll go nice and slow, and then I'll send you off to search for the corruption. In the meantime, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit the like button, leave a comment. And when you share the videos, we can reach more people in this search for clarity. If you'd like to support my work further, I've got my new memberships where we can exchange emails or telephone calls. I've also got the shop button. It pays pennies when you buy something, but it adds up. Lastly, if you want to leave a one-time tip or donation, there's 3 dots under the video and one says super thanks or something like that. And I forgot that my book is now available on Amazon. Okay, so do you have the website pulled up? Let's get started. First, I want to say kudos to the Data Republican. The database is surprisingly simple and user-friendly, and the way that you have organized the financials is brilliant. You should be creating the online databases for Doge. So here's what's going on, guys. This is a mother and daughter team that I found on X. Data Republican small r is the one putting the data out, and Momof Data Republican is her mom and says she's just there to support her daughter. This is grassroots change and disclosure. So by now, if you are looking at the front page of the website, you should be seeing a heading that says, Discover how money flows through government grants, charities, and non-governmental organizations or NGOs. What I want you to look at is that big black block of links to the left, which is where the author has done the searches for particular money trails that might be of interest to you. You will see a list that I will quickly go down with you. No Kings is the LA riots, which are part of the nationwide riots. NED is the National Endowment for Democracy. CEU is Central European University. People Relations allows you to put in a name and it will tell you who that person is. Bill Clinton's dead dog Buddy is even in there. I wonder if the dog is somewhere in the money database and that's why it's been included. DEI search, of course, is the whole diversity, equity, and inclusion agenda, which covers everything from trans and gays to blacks and Latins. The only ones who aren't entitled to DEI are whites. The next one is officers and salaries. If you go to bulk and put in Clinton, you will find 100 different awards in which someone named Clinton. If you poke around, you will see that most of the grants have been canceled, and a lot of them flowed through USAID. You can then check on the blue link of the grant flow and get the flow chart for who USAID was sending money to. You would think you could just look up the officers of those companies, but the database for USAID warns you that the money goes through many intermediaries, so don't jump to conclusions. Then there's political campaigns and voter turnout analysis. It looks like the Data Republic is a bright girl who did some research and made it easy for us to do the same thing. Now you want to click on the link on the left at the top that says No Kings New. This is going to take you to another page, which will be the index of all of the known nonprofit companies that have been linked to the June 14th No Kings Rally. So this No Kings Rally is a new one for me. I thought that it was just the LA illegal riots, but it turns out it's the No Kings Rally because it's part of a nationwide protest against perceived authoritarian actions by the Trump administration. That's why you see some people wearing crowns or carrying signs about a king. Apparently, it's to protest President Trump's planned military parade, which is scheduled for June 14th, which coincidentally is his birthday. You kind of have to love this guy with his comical symbolism. He's like a cat toying with a mouse. Now that we're on the No King money trail, we can click on any one of those people who are paying for the equipment, masks, signs, transportation, and other expenses of these organized riots. Scroll down and you're going to see about 31 of these people supporting the riots in some way. Let's go down the list, and I'm going to call out just a few, including numerous ACLU branches, quite a few teachers' associations, quite a few American civil liberties corporations and foundations, the Red Cross, Black Voters Matter, even the National Women's Law Center, and the Peace Action Education Fund. And of course, we can't forget reproductive freedom for all. Now that you know what you can find, let's go over how to find it. You should be sitting now on the list of nonprofits who are paying for the No Kings riots. I'd like you to go down to the fourth link down, the American Civil Liberties Union with the EIN of 43-6070952. Now click on the blue link that says See Federal Grant Flow. That is going to open up the flowchart. The only criticism that I found of this database is that the frame that these charts are displayed in should be larger. At least get rid of the wasted space below it. What you are seeing now is only half of the flowchart of money going into the ACLU fund with that EIN number. There are multiple ones, but we're going to focus here and you can go explore. Like I said, this is just one of many, but I tried to outline some things for you. First, let's go over the color coding on this. The red and pink blocks are nonprofits who are receiving over $10 million in taxpayer money. This particular chart doesn't have one, but there are also yellow blocks, which are donors who receive $1 to $10 million in taxpayer money, and the white or gray boxes receive little to no taxpayer funds. Now, if you will look all the way to the right, I have circled the subject ACLU fund that we are looking at, and you can trace where the money came from on the left and who it went through until it gets to the riot supporter on the right. I'm going to mention a few of the people who are moving money to the ACLU through various NGOs, which I have circled. First, let's look at the red ones who are getting a lot of taxpayer money. They are the National Endowment for Democracy, Rockefeller Philanthropy Advisors, Columbia University, and Washington University. If you scroll your screen to look at the bottom of the chart, you will also find that the American Heart Association, Leland Stanford Junior University, Tide Center, Low Income Investment Fund, and World Vision. Then you will see the gray ones circled, which receive all of their funding from charity, and guess which ones? I've circled UNICEF and Orphan Helpers Inc., but the orphans aren't getting the help. The rioters are. Other dishonorable mentions are Charles Schwab, Charitable Fund, Fidelity Investments, Greater Houston, and the Open Society Institute. So now we want to see if we can find some people involved, and of course we can. When I went to the Officers and Salaries link and searched the Tide Center, which I saw funneling money over and over again, I wanted to look at this nonprofit company that everybody likes to give money to, but none of us have ever heard of. Tide Center sponsorship allows a project like the LA Riots to operate under its 501c tax-exempt status. So rioters are getting the money and they don't pay taxes even though the rioters are not tax-exempt. Just free money to throw Molotov cocktails at police. I couldn't resist, and I did an officer search on Tide Center and found that this nonprofit is paying 5 people over $300,000 a year. Let's talk about them, shall we? The first one is $385,439 to Mark Smolinski, president of Ending Pandemics, a U.S. nonprofit focused on early detection, verification, and containment of infectious disease outbreaks globally. He also worked at Google Trends, where he supplied flu trends to Google's database. He was also an epidemic intelligence officer at the CDC. Isn't that funny how things work? The next contestant that got $331,059 is Melissa Jones, Executive Director of the Bay Area Regional Health Inequities Initiative, which focuses on health equity and racial justice for African American, Pacific Islander, and Indigenous communities. So it's DEI. Amy Lesnick gets $319,005 as Chief Executive and President. And Talia Milgram Elcott gets $307,571 as the Executive Director of the Starfish Institute. Finally you might think something for the environment, but you'd be wrong. The Starfish Institute is another nonprofit NGO that advises people on social change in healthcare, housing, and education to reduce inequities. There we go again with the DI. And I left the best for last. The Pearl and the Oyster. Tomikia Moss is the founder and chief executive, making $403,804 a year. Tomikia is also the Secretary of California's Business, Consumer Services, and Housing Agency, appointed by Governor Gavin Newsom and sworn in on February 13, 2024. So to recap, the Secretary of California's Business, Consumer Services, and Housing is running an NGO, where she makes a salary of over $400,000. In addition to the $232,858 she makes in her government position to end homelessness on the streets of California. We know the money isn't going to that. Her NGO Tide Center is receiving money for grants and giving it to the rioters. Essentially, California is facilitating money to the rioters to destroy their own city. Do you have any questions why you pay so much in taxes and why you can't get ahead? I'd love to run a full background on Tomikia because I ran across another NGO named Hamilton Families that she runs or ran at one time. That one isn't in the database, but there are 3 others besides the Tide Center that Tomikia is associated with. I tried to find her net worth but couldn't. Many public officials are required to file Form 700 Statement of Economic Interests, but it appears that she never filed it. So that's how the game is played, guys. Open numerous NGOs that give you hundreds of thousands a year each. That's one way a government servant becomes a multi-millionaire. The money goes round and round, and everybody gets rich except the hardworking American taxpayers. Until next time, I'm going to leave you with a prophetic quote by Pope Francis. Corruption is paid by the poor.